Hello there, this is Yana and welcome to another Hero Arts video tutorial. You're watching the color layering series, and in this episode we're taking a closer look at the Armadillo set. I have a bunch of cards to share showcasing this adorable layering stamp set. If you're new to the color layering video series, these videos are all about exploring different color options for the Hero Arts color layering sets, and there's plenty of sets to choose from. I've already made a few cards using this adorable armadillo, and in addition to playing with the Hero Arts inks like I always do for this series, I went ahead and played a little bit with the Copic markers to show you that you can also color your color layering stamp sets with your favorite coloring medium. So here's just a quick overview of some of the cards I made to show you what you can expect to see in this video, and there's also a card where I skipped using inks and used my Copic markers instead. I also did something completely different this time, and I blended ink onto white heat embossed image outlines to show you yet another way to color your images with inks. So here I white heat embossed Armadillo outline layer in white embossing powder and blended caramel along with the Armadillo inks to color this critter. I did the same style of ink blending or coloring to color cacti, and I just used green inks. The Armadillo set is pretty easy to align. I'm going to stamp a few images to show you the process and also to show you the different ink combinations. First, I'm using my Hero Arts black ink to stamp the outline layer, and I pretty much always like to start with an outline. And I do so for two reasons. First, the outline is usually stamped in the darkest ink color, and this color, when you layer other layers of stamps on top of it, is best visible. And also, reason number two, it is an outline layer, so that means that other layers simply must nestle inside of it. So it's just much easier to align when you start with the outline layer. The recommended color combo for this stamp set is Butterbar and Caramel, and those are the colors I'm using to stamp the first armadillo. Armadillos mostly come in brown colors. Now, I did see a pink armadillo, and you can Google pink fairy armadillo if you're curious to see what that critter looks like. For my second armadillo color combo, I'm going to switch the colors a little bit and go darker. I'm using caramel for the solid layer this time, and then to add detail, I'm coming in with a Armadillo ink. You can also use your ombre ink pads to stamp the base solid layer off this armadillo to add some instant shading. I love doing this. I feel like ombre inks and Heroes color layering sets are a perfect match. And here I use the brown ombre ink to stamp my base layer, and then just use the Armadillo ink, which is actually a part of that brown ombre ink pad, to stamp the detail layer. And this way I ended up having a very dark brown critter. This color layering armadillo has an outline, and that allows you to use it not only with the layering stamps, or additional layers I should say, but it also allows us to color it using our favorite coloring medium. So here I've stamped the images in Hero Arts Intense Black ink. This is Copic marker friendly ink, as I'm going to color my images with Copics. Before I do that, I also wanted to stamp a few cacti for my cards. Cacti here are also layering, and you have the outline and the solid layer. And the way the solid layer is done is you have some gaps in the stamp that will result in pretty white highlights on your finished image. So there are only two layers to the cacti, but they are done in a very, very clever way. I used Forever Green for the cacti outline and Green Apple for the cacti solid layer, and these are Hero Arts recommended colors. I also stamped some additional cacti in Green Hills for the solid layer and Forever Green for the detail layer. Again, you can use your ombre inks here to stamp the solid layer to add instant shading to this image. There are also little blooms included in this set, and cacti do bloom in the spring, so I used soft pink for the solid layer and also rose madder for my detail layer to stamp the flowers for my cacti. I did stamp a few in red and used mulled wine and strawberry inks. Now that our stamping is done, I'm going to go ahead and color the outline images to get a slightly different look to my card. Here is an overview of the Copic colors that I'm going to use, such as greens and browns. You can use stamped colored layered image as an example of how to color the critter, meaning you can look to see where the shadows and the highlights fall. I'm not a pro when it comes to Copics, but I do love to color from time to time with my Copic markers and also with other coloring mediums. So I was excited to try and color this image with my markers. And remember, if your other color layering stamp sets have an outline to them, you can also color them with your favorite medium. I decided to go with Copics today, but that can be watercolor, that can be colored pencils, or you can do ink blending like I showed you at the start of this video. I've moved on to coloring cacti now, and these can be used on their own, by the way, not necessarily with the armadillo. Here is a quick comparison of the stamped and colored images, so you do get completely different looks when you use different mediums, and I think that this just gives you a whole lot of additional options for your card making. There are coordinating dies available for these images, so I'm going to use mine to cut these out in the Spellbinders Platinum die cutting machine, which I have sitting off to the side. With my parts and pieces cut out, it's time to put the cards together. I'm using soft bull ink to blend a light blue background for my first card. I'm just doing some simple and light ink blending in the center of the panel. Next, I'm going to foam mount my lightest colored armadillo and 2 cacti with the pink blooms on top. For the sentiment for this card, I'm going with a "You are Armadorable," and this sentiment comes with this layering stamp set along with a few other clever sentiments. I've trimmed this panel to be 4 by 5 1/4 inches, and I foam mounted it onto a light blue card base. I also used Hero Art's Frost sequins to embellish this simple card. For my card number 2 and number 3, I wanted to add a graphic looking background, so I used the luggage tag alphabet dies. These are coordinating dies that go with the luggage tag alpha stamps to cut out an entire panel for my card. I kept my dies connected, I just removed the bottom row, and I've been using them like a cover die for my cards ever since. I have one cut out of black, and I'm also going to cut one more out of craft to look like a sandy or like a desert background for my card. I'm also going to use positive letters to spell a partial sentiment for another card, so nothing goes to waste here. I'm adding my armadillo and cacti, and I'm going to add a simple looking sharp sentiment to this card. I'm heat embossing it in white embossing powder, and this is detail white onto black cardstock piece, and I'm also using the champagne sequin mix from Hero Arts to embellish this card. There are some gold and clear sequins that go nicely together with the craft cardstock. Here I'm using the leftover letters to spell rolling. I want my sentiment to say keep on rolling, and this actually is another sentiment in this stamp set. So I will stamp the keep on part, but I want to use the large letters for the rolling part, and I actually want to stagger them to sort of nestle my armadillo in between. This staggered look is very popular lately, and I've been wanting to use it for my cards. I used foam adhesive tape here to foam mount the letters in place. I wanted to pop them up on my card. I didn't want them to be flat. And I also foam mounted the armadillo and a few cacti along with some blooms in pink and red. Now, I carefully cut the keep on rolling stamp with my scissors into 2 pieces as I was just needing the keep on part. I inked it up and stamped in the Cup of Joe ink. And I can always put my sentiment stamp back the way it was if I ever decide to use it like that in the future. Next, I trimmed my panel to be about 4 1/4 inches tall. I wanted to adhere it onto an A2 craft base, and I wanted some more of the craft to show on the card, so that's why I trimmed it to be smaller. Now, I did stamp a background using a tribal stripe background stamp and Versamark ink on this craft card front just to add some interest to my card. I adhered my armadillo panel on top, and again I embellished this card with a champagne sequin mix. I also used a white gel pen to add white highlights to my armadillo. I've been enjoying adding these little touches to my images lately. So here is a quick look at the armadillo cards that I have for you today. I hope this video has given you some fun ideas to try with your color layering armadillo stamp set from Hero Arts. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, as always, please leave them in the comments section below, and be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't yet done so. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!